What is up, world? Week 2 of LCS in the books. Week 2 of LEC in the books. We had top table matches in Korea and in China. And you've got the best damn show to break it down here, Dom, Dgon, and Monte.
It's not the best damn league show, actually. It's Power Spike.
Yeah.
That's the best damn show. I didn't say best damn league show. The best damn show to break down this.
Oh, so that's the best league show, and then this is the best show of all time in any genre.
There we go. Yes.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Man.
I like that.
Is this
We
what
do
you
more
have
than
to go
we do more
through,
than
Tom?
league. We talk about basketball here. You know.
Yep.
That's what happened last week.
100%. Could talk about Damian Lillard to Miami being a trade. Oh, wait, is Dgon frozen or like what's going on? I couldn't tell if we DC'd or not.
No,
Is Dgon lagging or what's going on?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm disappointed that you didn't like my nuanced opening there, Dom. Also, I'm disappointed I'm sad how quick you were just stretching out what I said, taking the words that I said and then turning it into something else. It's like that happens to you all the time.
That's literally my superpower at this point.
Being misinterpreted.
Look, Dgon, it's something that you need to work on with some of the interviews I've seen you get recently. Like, the players aren't saying shit, so you better extrapolate what the fuck they're saying, or your interview is going to be 3 minutes long. All right?
Brother. Yeah, I know. We were talking about the unforgiven one last week. It's so interesting because now I look at him and I'm like, is he an angry player? And it's like, no, he just hates losing. He hates losing. After he wins, he smiles, he gets up.
He hates you. You were the issue.
No way. No, that's that's so impossible. You know,
he needs a more European. Like, you need to be like, you are fucking shit. You are fucking shit this game. What are you gonna do to not be shit in the next game? Like, you came with such a positive energy. He just didn't know how to react.
I did. Gosh, if you didn't see it, he was just like, I was shit. My teammates were shit. We missed all of our skill shots. I was like, all right, cool. Thanks for the interview, man. What are you going to do different next time? We're going to land our fucking skill shots. I was like, all right, cool. Thanks. Speaking of tougher interviews, where we did get a lot, I had Fudge and Vulcan's interviews released today.
Those are always good, though. Those are always spicy. You got anything from Vulcan about the trade and his fabulous 06 start?
Oh, man. I think just watching him try to put it together and piece it together, because he's like, man, I just feel bad because I don't think anyone expected this. My parents didn't expect this. I was like, whoa, that's how hurt he was. He went to like, who are the closest people to me kind of feeling. And it's a good watch. He's very honest about it. And it was while they were 0-5, they went out and lost one more game the next day. So, yeah, I guess we'll see if they're able to figure it out. Which, Monte, I wanted to bring that up. Rarely are you wrong with predictions, or rarely are you, just not close. You're like, hey, I think Flyquest can turn it around. You can still be on this ship, Monte.
I'm getting called out, but I got KT right. So can we just go? Can we admit that I had a 50-50 week?
Because we don't have a segment for this one. I just wanted to know.
This segment, Monte was wrong.
Only because Thorin did that impassionate defense with Spenskaren on how right you were and how you revolutionized League in season 4. Right? I was like,
that was a long time ago. Turns out. But am I still on board the Flyquest train?
Yeah.
I think I might be getting off. I think Baby Dom was right. I got baited by the Scrimbucks because the Scrimbucks were legitimately amazing.
So
for Flyquest.
That's Vitality too. They're literally the same team. They just have like we're insane players. We're like, look at our fucking mechanics. We're so good individually. How can we lose? And then you see them together. It's like, do you guys fucking hate each other, or like what's going on?
Look, so after this last week, I just got to say that, watching this team has become so painful because, unfortunately, this is one of those situations where they keep on finding new ways to lose, which means that fixing the problems becomes really fucking difficult.
Yeah.
And like it looks as though they just have no leadership within this team. Like, I think about, this like EG game where they just take no initiative around objectives. Like, they don't try and muscle in. They basically have tools like a solid front line, Maokai saplings. Do they walk up to the Baron? Do they try and actually gain control of anything? And I think that they've lost so many games at this point in time that they're just in their own heads where nobody actually wants to make an assertive play or take responsibility because it might cause another loss. You know what I mean? And so they just end up doing nothing with no shot calling. And it was horrible to watch this team lose.
Yeah, I think the worst thing is you can just literally see the players become worse. It's the same thing with Vitality, right? Think about Bo and Photon, and think about Vikla and Prince. Have they not just followed the the same trajectory where it was like Bo and Prince were two people at the beginning that were like, these are some of the best imports that we've ever seen mechanically. Like Prince was absolutely smurfing, Bo was completely fucking smurfy. Like I'm talking about if you look at their first like what 2/3 of the first split where it's like Bo was playing all those fucking like Vi games and it was like, damn bro, this is completely different, bro. This is Chinese Vi. You don't want to fuck with it. Then you had Prince. He was just smurfing on everything. He just looked like he was a level up on every single AD. Like it didn't even look like Berserker was close to him in the first like 2/3 of Spring Split. And now you just see, and he just looks like an average AD. He just looks like your normal AD. And Vikla has become so fucking bad. Vikla just loses every single lane. Like some of the kills that I see mid lane just don't make any fucking sense. And at this point, I don't even know what he's good at. Like, what does he even play? He's not good at like the Jace. He can't play the Azir. He can't play the Engagers. It's like, do we have to bring back Silas? Like maybe we go some Silas Maokai. We have to bring back these comps. Well, like, I don't know what you do with this guy.
I mean, I think also if you think about his time on KT, that Ari was one of his signature champions at that point in time, but that doesn't viable. Even seem to. Yeah, it's viable, but he doesn't seem to be able to play it or want to play it anymore. So I really don't know what you do with this roster because also Spica has been really questionable in terms of some of his engages and like over pursuing and seems rather desperate at times to win. I just don't get it. Like this team should obviously be better. And you say that Prince has been an average AD carry. I mean, he got clapped by Double Lift in that first game of the split. Like
then he's below average for sure. No, I get you.
So I mean, and it's not like Double Lift has been a world beater. Like he's been fine, but to get completely devastated as they got by 100 Thieves in the first game of the split, and yeah, I just don't know. So I guess I am off the Flyquest hype train. I guess there's an outside shot that as long as they can make playoffs, they could do some sort of miracle run because it's one of those things. It's the same thing with Vitality or the same thing with D+ Kia. They have the pieces that if they snap into place could be functional at any point in time, right? And so you always have to say, and caveat would be like, well, you never know if they could get it together randomly down the road. And that's true, but they have to, and they only have to make that top 8 in order to get there. So perhaps
it should be pretty easy to make top 8. I mean, when you look at some of the other teams, like TSM doesn't look super convincing. I think Insanity is literally just a better player than Ruby. I just think Ruby's just bad. So the fact that they're even making that swap is just ill, but it's what NA always does, right? Like they just shit on the fucking NA player. The NA player comes in, performs, then we replace them with like Blue or fucking Armut or Ruby or just some like washed import that their own region don't even like. Dude, Ruby is so bad. It's like his main region didn't want him, and then they sent him to LPL, and LPL is like, oh, like we're Rogue Warrior. We don't even fucking want you. We're a dog shit fucking 17th place team. You can't even make it here. They sent them to ERLs. The ERLs were like, I don't know, man. Maybe you're like okay here. Goes to LEC. LEC didn't even want him, and now NA's like, perfect. That's our star mid laner. We love this guy. Ruby is gonna be the one that takes us to the fucking promised land. It doesn't fix any of their problems. He's not mechanically better than Insanity by a big enough margin that I think that he's going to affect the team in some like positive way or give them some extra win condition. And Insanity looked fine. It felt like he's actually an interesting player. He's giving them a dimension that makes them hard to draft against. This Graves pick that he was playing every single game, you could tell that it made people uncomfortable. They're like, oh, how does this champion really work? They weren't sure how to punish it. I mean, obviously there's certain strengths. It enables AP junglers. There's a ton that this champion brings. And I think Insanity has always been that type of player. If you remember back to his original time in Immortals, he was somebody who's bringing out, for example,
good
like
run on Immortals. He had a good run on Immortals relative to the strength of that roster. I was surprised he didn't get brought back for another LCS stint.
I would have much rather had him continue his career in LCS than people like Blaze Olive, for example. Like that's just a comparison that I see where it's like you have two native mid laners. I think he definitely deserves a time in LCS. So it's one of those things I hate. So I'm predicting that the TSM fall off. I don't think that they're that good to begin with. And yeah, I think that they just are going to be worse with Ruby. Then you have Dignitas. Don't believe in Dignitas. Rich, he was Not even good enough to get playing time in LPL. He's like the best top laner in North America, but that's
fine.
fine.
There's this definitely MVP Rich movement that's coming. Rich has been playing well. Rich has been playing well. I know he's a former LPL guy who like flamed out, which is why.
I mean, he completely just inted rookie for fun on purpose, but it's okay. Like he's doing well.
Tom, you could have an axe to grind about him not being an LPL quality player, which is totally fine. But that just is an indictment of the rest of the LCS. If he's just like style on kids,
of course,
that's what I mean. That
is literally my point. He's the North American GOAT already. He's played like 3 games.
It's also Cassante has been helping him quite a bit, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so then we have that team, and then also like Immortals just looks like a dumpster fire. So when you have these teams that you're competing with, Flyquest, you're telling me you're so bad you can't be better than these? You can't be better than this version of 100 Thieves? Come on. Quid is sprinting it. Quid is completely sprinting it.
So the difference is that it feels like there are redeeming qualities between all of those teams except Flyquest. I would say like Immortals, our old boy, good old Eddie is playing good. I think Tactical's playing like pretty good on this team. They haven't.
How's Kenby playing?
That's where I was going. Kenby hasn't been able to figure it out yet. But you got Solo top lane's going to tank shit. You got Balulu who's going to make people feel uncomfortable. And if you got Treats mind controlling Tactical who's playing well, you do have one more part that you got to figure out there with Kenby.
Dgon, you are betting on the fact that Solo, they replaced Revenge with Solo, who's a weak side top laner. So their eggs are entirely in the Tactical basket. Do you think that is a reliable basket in which one should put their eggs?
I think that
just say no.
I think that putting Treats with Tactical is way better than what they're putting Fleshy in there. Fleshy was young, he was new, he was nervous. Treats doesn't give a fuck. You know that. He loves fights. He loves putting Tactical in that position, and Tactical is going to there you go. Accept. There we go.
And Kenby looks like he's literally scared of his own shadow. So how the fuck is this going to work out? Trees is like, can we do something? Can we do something on the map, please? Like this, the only way out is through. And Kenby is like, should I do my fucking Krugs here again? I guess I will. Like somehow Kenby only farms his jungle. He doesn't do objectives, and he's behind in CS. Doesn't get a kill on the map, and then when it's time for Kenby to join a team fight, oh my god, he's so fucking shit at fighting. Like it's pathetic how bad he is, and I don't understand it because I played against this guy for years in solo queue, and he just seems like one of the players that he just doesn't have the mentality to play LCS. He's just too scared. Like he can't handle the pressure. And I mean, if you're not able to do this in over a year of being a pro player, you're still like looking like these are your first games on stage. Like imagine if Quid did this for a year. If Quid looked like this for a year, you'd be like, okay, just get rid of him, right? I think it's at that point with Kenby. He just doesn't have what it takes.
I blame Axie Infinity. It's all the mining and grinding in Web3 games that he loves the PvP. He's actually he loves the PvE. He's just playing to earn right now. So
no, the thing is he doesn't even love the PvE. Like some people love the PvE and you could tell that they want to win the game through PvE. He just defaults to PvE because he's so scared of doing anything else. That's what the problem is. It doesn't even look like he's trying to PvE. It's like he's trying to create a farm leader. He's like a pathing based jungler. Like you see some junglers that have had good times like that. For example, Xerxes over in EU. Early on in his career, I viewed him as an efficiency-based jungler. He needed to have good timings where he was able to fight. Like he wanted to wait until he had flash up, his ultimate, and then he would make like a good play. Like you can be more on the farming side of things. The problem is Kenby picks like he picks things that ruin the entire draft. He picks things that don't make sense for the context of what Immortals are as a team. And then he just farms the whole fucking game in situations where that's never going to work. So, for example, the Sejuani pick. The Sejuani pick in the first game they played. This might be one of the worst drafts of all time. Their 1-2-3 was Sejuani into Annie into Nautilus. It's like you might as well just buy merc treads for the enemy team and just give it to them. Because how do you win this game? If you think about who Immortals is as a team, right? What's Solo? What does Solo play?
Tank.
What he plays tanks? Okay, he plays tanks, right?
Yeah.
So then why would you play Sejuani with the fucking tank player? You have a mage player mid and a tank player top, and you pick Sejuani, which enables melee fucking champion. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's actually so insanely stupid that I can't even begin to talk about this team and not flame them. It's like you're asking me to flame you at this point.
Hey, Dom, what was the result of that game?
Oh, the team had about 4 merc treads at 10 minutes, and then they just lost the whole game. Like, I don't know, bro. I don't know what to say. The whole idea of your team is that Kenby is supposed to be the carry jungler player. His best champions are like Kindred, Viego, Lee Sin, this type of shit. He's supposed to be playing that shit. Solo's going to play the tank, and then that's going to enable him to not have to play that tank role for his team. But then he just picks champions that don't make any sense, that his teammates that don't complement his teammates, and then he plays them poor individually himself. You're losing on all fronts. You're inting your team in draft in the fucking game. You're stifling their ability to make plays on the map. The plays that you do make, you're whiffing your abilities. Like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
I think the funniest part about the TSM game that you bring up where they picked that draft is like their only melee champions to combo with Sejuani were Scion and Nautilus, both of which have such slow attack speeds. Like,
what was the 80 carry in that game? What was the 80 carry in that game? It was Varus. So they literally drafted 5 CCs. 5 CCs with the Sejuani.
Who is supposed to kill anyone with this draft?
Oh my god. Oh my god, my region. It's fine. Next topic, Dgon. I can't go off any harder.
Let's move us out of this one to the other team that we were comparing Flyquest to. It's our first segment of the day. It's keep. Oh, yeah, the first part doesn't count as a segment. We're doing keep or kick. Are you keeping Vitality, who we just saw yet again struggle with another week, or Koi, who had a little bit of surprise, but also kind of struggling?
All right, I'm changing the segment. Keep or kick, Vitality or Flyquest? That's the real question.
All right,
that's the real question.
We'll do it.
All right, super teams, super names on the fly. We're changing it Flyquest and Vitality. Where are we going with this one, Monte? Because I feel like Dom's ready to like chat for like 30 minutes.
I think my hand's already been shown, because I think at this point I keep Flyquest just because I do think that there's still an outside shot that they achieve something. And as far as teams that have been mentally broken, clearly it's both of them. But I think that at least since there's been a more recent roster change with Flyquest, and they're in arguably an easier region, that I would at least keep them to see how they go for the rest of the split. Whereas Vitality, I would have thought, guys, like the static Shiv LeBlanc meta should be the Perks meta. Like, this is everything he wants: control over the side waves, ability to play LeBlanc right, easy escapability from those situations. Some of Perks's all-time greatest macro plays have come from his ability to put pressure down onto side waves, and he has such an insane ability to do that. But then we see VTO. That's when the Kaisa mid comes in against him. They let him pick it, so they get like one win. And then today, here we are dealing with the mid Varus, and the way they lost today was just so completely pathetic. It just seems like this team has no synergy at all, and they're never, ever going to be able to get it. Bo playing tanks is just depressing at this point in time because he has no agency on the map, and they've never coalesced around any kind of identity whatsoever, right? I think that's the problem, is that, Bo goes off the rails when things start to look bad, and that's when the Nidalee and the Karthus have come out this year. And they feel very, very desperate, and that they've already thrown in the towel. And frankly, the other reason why I kick Vitality is because at least I feel like some of these players, like Upset, might be able to be good on other teams, right?
Dom, go ahead.
I mean, I'm making it simple, bro. I'm kicking Vitality because the difference between Vitality and Fnatic for me is that Vitality actually looks like they're done. Like, I think Bo today was pretty much the hardest, like, you could into game where, I mean, it just looked on purpose, right? It looked like he just doesn't care anymore. Like, he wants to lose. He wants to lose. He wants to be done with this team, find a different team. Yes. Like, he's just done with his teammates. That's just unacceptable to me from a pro player. Like, to actually just troll on stage, like, make these play, like, I don't know. It's just that's the last straw. Where I feel like Flyquest is still trying. Like, they suck for sure, but at least they're still trying. Where I think Vitality has just given up completely.
The Twitch chat was saying, it looks like Bo's going to Brazil. Bozil. That was a good one. I liked that one a lot. I think I was a little mean, but
I mean, he will get another job somewhere in probably a minor region, or NA, also a minor region. You never know. But There'll be some team if perhaps he needs a mental reset, but this roster just fundamentally doesn't work. And honestly, I feel really fucking bad because it's another, it's another time where Vitality has spent a fuck ton of money, right? And they've made very aggressive roster moves with star players that are available, but the synergy has just never been there.
I mean, the synergy was literally the best between Perks and Bo in their first games. Like in their first split, they were just ganking mid and killing mid over and over again. And it was like, damn, bro, no one can 2v2 these guys. These guys are the best 2v2. I mean, they were dicking like the people that are dicking them now. They were dicking Elyoya and Niski. I mean, they completely dismantled G2. It just looked like they were actually a solid team. And somehow they've gotten worse with time, which makes me just wonder what coaching looks like in their team. Because the thing that I don't understand is why they have such dramatic responses to every single game that they play through draft. So if you look at the 3 drafts this weekend, they somehow went from first picking Poppy, like just Poppy is like a situational counter pick. Maybe you flex it. It can have some value there. But it's a counter pick to Dash champions. You don't just open a draft with Poppy. They first pick Poppy just so that they can go Rakan Zaya, or just so they can go Rakan essentially. Because obviously Poppy is good into Rakan. And then the next draft, they're like, fuck it, we last pick jungle. So they went from first pick jungle of overall draft, so B1 jungle to R5 jungle Nocturne. And the next game they're on Maokai. It's like, what are these? Like, what is the identity of the team? I literally have no idea what they're even trying to do. Normally, teams you can see what they're doing like throughout the week. So, for example, XL, another team that's dog shit. They came into this week and they're like, we're gonna play tank jugglers and Azir. That's our strat, and then we'll just comp everything else around that. We'll have some moving pieces, but the stable points of our team are going to be Azir. If Azir's banned, we'll probably go another type of control mage, a tank jungle, and then we're just going to try to play front to back, like easy win conditions. And they'll just iterate on that, and that's how they ended up going 3-0 this week. But when you look at this Vitality team, I don't even know what they bring from game to game. Whatever they review in game number 1 doesn't apply to game number 2. Whatever they review in the first 2 games doesn't apply to game number 3. So how are you progressing?
I kind of hate to bring this up because this is such a black box of, information, but the communication skill set, right? Again, this is a triple language team here, that native language at least, which maybe Flyquest was running into as well with multiple different language speakers. Before you had Winsome that could understand Korean, Ayla didn't understand Korean, and you switch them back out to Winsome and you saw performances go back on up. You kind of wonder if communication over time becomes the issue because the calls get a lot more complicated and a lot more complex compared to what it was like when you started. When it's early on, you're just kind of playing off of feel and you want to support your new teammate. So when he goes in, I go in, and you trust off of that. Whereas later on, if you're trying to create set plays, you're trying to prevent 3-man tower dives and you need resources over, that's a lot more complex conversation. And I know this is going to sound weak, but you're seeing Team Liquid kind of get to that point in terms of their calls. And when I was talking to Jan, he's saying, I'm able to communicate with them so much faster now in Korean. And I know if I need to use Korean or English, I know Core can understand and I know what words to use. And that kind of shorthand then helps out a team like that, where it's all the same language or mostly the same language. That was kind of unique in terms of that.
I think the communication is cope for the most part in League. I think it's big cope because, I mean, I played on a team with 2 Koreans, similar type of thing. And they could understand. I mean, at this point in the year, you understand everything your teammates are saying. Like, even if they can't communicate back specifically what they want in game, if you're good players and you're playing the game and you have a good understanding of, how the game is functioning, everyone has a similar idea of the patch.
In each other's actions as well.
Yeah, you could play the game. Like, I mean, look, you go to Korean server as an NA player. If you're a good NA player, if you're like fucking JoJo or something, he's just topping the ladder. They don't need communication, even if it is like unstructured solo queue. We're talking about LEC and LCS. Like, most of the situations are not super, super complex. We're not having these like 3-man, like these like Gillies calls it the triangle attack, where if you look in LPL, they'll have 3 different angles that they all come from at the same time, where you're like timing these coordinated engages. Like, most of it is like they're inting, go, and then like Maokai presses the R key and then starts like rolling at them, and then everyone just flashes on the target that gets CC'd and they just kill them. It's just not crazy levels of communication. And if you listen to Bo, like his English is fine. Like he knows what the fuck people are saying. He just thinks his teammates are shit and they think he's shit. And now everything's just terrible. Like they just don't believe in each other.
I think that's accurate. That's a fair point. The trust
and
is
they don't have any kind of set way to win a game either. Like none of the players are individually performing. Who do they play through on this roster right now? Like Photon's fallen off. Perks, who at least I think he was pretty good in spring overall, but Kaiser hasn't been great, right? So I think it's really, but they're unwilling to play through upset for some reason. Like the answer has to be upset, but Perks is not having the same level of performance that he had in the spring. Like Perks has now become, I think, an issue on this roster.
Perks, I mean, they're all an issue on this roster. I mean, think about how the split started. So number one, the thing that's hilarious is this team is apparently dicking everyone in scrims. Like I don't even get this information from Vitality members. Like everyone else will tell me, God damn, Vitality's dicking us. Like they're looking fucking good. And then you see them play and it's like, really? How are they looking good? Because the split opens up. What's the first thing you see? You see Photon getting counterpick, playing Gwen, and getting slapped by Cassante in like the driest of all solo kills. There's nothing going on there. No flash, nothing. Like just the fucking bone dry solo kill. And then you just see like this game, like Bo is just dead on a fucking ward before the lane phase even starts. Then you have this gank where like Perks fucks up mechanically. Then Bo is trying to save them. Like Perks already dead. Bo misses the Q. He gets hit by a charm. He dies as well. It's like 0-4 at fucking 4 minutes. The whole game just feels so terrible. So I don't know, man. I think they should probably just take a page out of Piglet's book. At this point, the only solution is playing Vayne into Draven. Just have to fucking give them Draven, play some Vayne, trusted upset to carry.
Oof. Well,
I mean, what's scary though is that there's still a potential here that Vitality, first off, could make it out of groups, and second off, somehow ends up at the season finals, right? Because they only have to play, like, they have quite a few championship points right now. They are what? Tied with BDS. Yeah, they're tied with BDS at 137, and so. You know, if they can squeak into the next round, they get a minimum of 30 points, and depending on who's on the bottom, you know, and who wins summer, because the way that LEC works is that for the season finals, all of the split winners go. So G2 and Matt are guaranteed for winning winter and spring, then the summer one, and then the top three remainder in terms of championship points. So it's not actually outrageous to think that Vitality might just completely, you know, bomb out in the next couple of weeks, and then just be sitting there waiting for their turn at the season finals after the summer playoffs have concluded.
Yeah, I'm, and the teams that are struggling behind them are as well in this split: BDS in third, Koi in fifth. So, you know, maybe a world where this does happen and they do have to figure it out. It reminds me a lot of.
Can you imagine being in Vitality's house, given what it appears to be the state of their team, where they get eliminated and yet somehow have to wait like 2 months until the season finals, and they have to keep practicing.
Wait, but yes, because we have an example of it in the LCS. I think in 2016, maybe 2017, that was Clutch. Remember? Clutch qualified, or 2018. They qualified for the gauntlet, but by that time the team was so blown up. That was the Vulcan Piglet year. They had to wait and play scrims, and it was like a first round knockout to whoever they played, because they were no longer, you know, like talking to each other anymore at that time. So definitely a world where that
seems like a really unhealthy environment where you just chill out throughout the rest of the summer split, throughout the summer playoffs, and you're just waiting there for your time to shine when you obviously know that you're not going to Worlds. So what a doomed environment that would be.
Oh, I love it.
By the way, yeah, make some fucking content, Vitality. Let's watch that. The season finals don't start.
Point Vitality edition. Holy shit! I just want to see Bo say, "Pick me, whatever, and let's fucking lose in peace." Like, I just need to see that shit. Like,
by the way,
please.
I mean, the season finals don't start until August 19th, guys. So it would be literally just like 2 months of them sitting around.
The season final, they start. Oh yeah, August 19th. Yes, August.
Yeah, August 19th, and they end on September 10th. but just because of the way the structure of the LEC works, it's a long time to sit around.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, we did it. We did a segment where Dom talked about communications on Team Liquid in the past without flaming Piglet. Let's move on. High key, low key, no key. Did you?
Yeah. I was talking about, yeah, I mean, I threw some shots at him.
I think we got through pretty good. Chat was super excited for it, so I was like paying attention, and I didn't remember. All right, high key, low key, no key. Our next one: successful off-season roster moves. When we think about some of the big names that went to different teams, bigger teams, lesser teams, and tried to build themselves back up, or lesser-known players moving to big teams, who are the ones that were the most successful? Let's get into our high key, low key, no key. All right, let's start with our no keys. Let's get them out of the way. The ones that were not successful and don't think will be successful. We will add that caveat as well. So if you think Vulcan going to Flyquest, obviously that is bad. That hasn't worked out well. But if you think he'll turn it around or maybe be a good investment for the team later on, that's the caveat there. So you've got other names that had come up from bad, I guess, new team, bad kind of like debuts here. Who else comes to mind?
Well, I mean, there's obviously going to be a bunch on kind of like bad teams as we saw some level of experimentation, right, on rosters amongst bad teams, particularly in LCK and LPL. But Vulcan really hasn't brought the kind of shot calling voice or synergy with Spica that we thought might occur early on, or even lane presence with Prince. Like, there seems to be really no tangible upside to this guy. And I'm not saying he's worse than Winsome, because people really overrate Winsome, in my opinion. Like, did you guys just like forget that Winsome and Ayla both had not very good performances overall? I don't think that Flyquest would be winning with either of these players in this roster instead. The problems are kind of far deeper on a, on stage performance and synergistic level than that, right? But I also think, like, we can be critical of some of the other roster moves that have occurred. Like, look at what's going on with Koi, who voluntarily rid themselves of Trimby and put Advien in, which was on paper a pretty big downgrade. And given what we've seen from Trimby's performance, where his roaming has actually made Humanoid and Razork look better on that roster, and we still know he is in a massive champion pool and is an excellent player, and Koi have seemed rather listless and unable to actually make decisions in game ever since that roster move went through.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dom?
So where are you picking that? Where are you putting Vulcan?
I'm no-key excited for Vulcan or Advien, because at this point I just don't think that the Vulcan swap has really made any kind of difference, and I don't think that Vulcan being on this team is why they will improve.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. I would have went no. Damn, Monte just took two of them. What the fuck? How the fuck did that work out? All right, I guess I'll alter it. I was gonna go low
you want
key.
Peach. You want Peach.
Oh no, I mean, I've been like, I'm less than no key excited. I'm angry. I'm angry about that move in general. Because I tortured myself and watched some of EMEA Masters, and my God, it's actually EMEA Masters now, but yeah, EMEA Masters. Oh man, this guy was not good. And I mean, this game that he played today, I mean, he tried his best to lose it. He was smiting like he's 45 years old. Anyways, point is, I'm not picking Peach.
Do you like how XL had a 3-0 week in spite of just being hard griefed by the jungler?
Well, I mean, he played fine in the Maokai game. In the Maokai games, he played fine. Like, it seems like you play that champion, but Maokai is so like easy it's so hard to expose yourself on Maokai. The second he had buttons on Poppy, I mean, it couldn't have gone worse. But anyways, I'll go.
I would like to point out that he always has a smite button, no matter which jungler he's
yeah, true. But yeah, my no key excited. I'm gonna go no key on Uzi. I wasn't excited for him because I saw him play last year. I didn't think he was very good. I mean, I guess it's a little bit cheating because I saw him play a little bit already, but I wasn't excited, and I'm still not excited. I don't think that he's better than Leave. I think Leave is pretty much better than him in almost every area currently. And
Well, he's worse at not using prostitutes publicly.
yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Which is why we're in this situation. If we're being honest, it wasn't a skill issue. It was a leaked prostitution DM issue. Just don't do that. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, in terms of League of Legends things, I think that
Nice.
I think that that Uzi is just not as good as Lee was, and I think the team has just been playing worse with him in general. There's this pressure that comes with his name as well. It just hasn't looked good for me. I'm just not excited for it at all. I think EDG is not going to make Worlds because Uzi's on the team.
Guys, you're both wrong. It is reckless to support. That was probably the worst move in the off season for Fnatic. Reckless to support because then he went to the analyst desk and didn't even stay on there past a week. So you can make your reservations from that. All right, let's go to our low-key excited about some of these moves here that are like yet to be determined, but are promising. How about that? Let's go there with you, Dom, since Monte took 2 of yours last time.
Yeah, I mean, my low-key, I'm going to go Revenge. I think Revenge.
Oh, that was my fuck you.
Yeah, how does it feel, motherfucker? Damn right. Damn right. And I'm just gonna get it out of the way. Yeah, my high key is Noah, so yeah, fucking take all this. Take all this. I got Revenge for my low key. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty hyped for him. I mean, he's been stuck on bad teams for a while, and I'm not really hyped
chronically underrated. I have been defending Revenge's honor for like the last 2 years, and everybody's like, no, Monte, he's actually shit. I'm like, look at his teammates, look at fucking Immortals. It's a dumpster fire. This guy is actually, for a native American top laner, he's actually decent.
And also, if people are going to be flaming Koi for the roster moves they made, we have to do the same thing for Immortals. Immortals chose to get rid of Revenge. Revenge wanted to stay on Immortals, and Immortals was like, no, we need solo over you, fuck you. And then he just went to EG, and now he's smurfing. So yeah, that's what I would say.
77 KDA for Noah. Just wanted to drop that one out there before we forget and someone else steals my facts since we're going all out of order. Monte, now you're on the run. What do you have to? Who are you low-key or who are you low-key excited about?
Who am I low-key excited about? I still am low-key excited about Gala, even though LNG hasn't been doing quite as well as we might have believed with Gala on the roster. I also think that the LPL is just really fucking competitive right now, especially with top esports kind of revitalizing and Bilibili having been on that upward swing through playoffs and then into MSI and continuing on that trajectory right now. So I'm not sure. I think objectively they would be doing worse without Gala on this team. But it is harder, I think, in summer to win in the LPL this time around than it was previously. So I'm still low-key excited, but I'm not sure that LNG is going to be able to kind of push it deep into the playoffs, considering how well some of these other teams are doing at the moment.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I have not yet seen the IG LNG matches that happened last night, but the results did not please me.
I've got 2 here just because you'll understand why. I think Insanity was low-key exciting just because, again, good story and it gets taken away, so you can't even stay excited about it. So I think low-key excited for Insanity and what his future holds. And I think the other low-key excited one was seeing Rich come in and play in this Dignitas team that could not punch their way out of a fucking paper bag, and now they've got firepower. They've got firepower, right? As much as it was fun making the Arma jokes,
been surprisingly all right too.
Filthy Frank, man. I'm trying to get nicknames for the players that don't already have any like behind them.
I think what's weird about Dignitas right now is that what you would think would be their most exciting aspect on paper, which would be historically like Jensen Santorin bringing back that old synergy, has looked quite bad. And like it's Rich and Tomo that are the more interesting actual aspects of that roster rather.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to defend your high key pick of Noah here, Dom, or is that enough? Enough
No,
said.
I mean, I think his play speaks for itself. The guy has been absolutely fucking smurfing in the games. He just think about the contrast of Reckless to him. Like everyone is gonna be, oh, but it's the bot lane as a whole. Tribby is better than Advienne. The biggest difference is in the AD carry. Like Noah is so much better than Reckless was, and he's aggressive. He plays fights well. I mean, he's just making almost no mistakes. Guy is fucking cracked.
It's been a lot of fun to watch, and one of the major reasons for Fnatic's resurgence. Monte, who are you high key excited about with our offseason moves?
Well, so first off, I think I would go with Trimby just because this is a player that I think has been really excellent for a long time. And we talked about, I think one of the stories of Fnatic has been, how do you fix the Razor humanoid synergy problem, which has never really clicked since they got both of these players onto the roster.
It's one of our favorite drums to beat on
It's just true, though. It's just true. It's just true. But maybe the answer is Trimby walks into the mid lane now, which he's been doing a whole hell of a lot. And, already having that synergy with Noah to trust him, when he can go and make these runs on the map, I think is going to be, as Dom said, like if you think the communication is an issue, how is it possible that Noah and Trimby are already doing so well together? Isn't it more likely that they just have good game instincts and muscle memory and are just good at the game and can play
it's just
together?
communication gap. Noah just is super fluent in English. He actually, like when he goes in interviews, he downplays his English to try to bait other teams into thinking there could be communication issues, and then he's actually British. He's not even Korean, so that's it's next level for him.
So yeah, I mean, of course, everything about KT is going great right now, and Noah is a product of KT Rolster Academy and a substitute onto the main team. So really, it's just everything about KT is going great right now, including Noah, who comes from that system. So it's been fun though. It's been fun though to see him and how well he's doing.
Interesting just note about Trimby and just a testament to his success. It was in playoffs. It's second, first, third, and then his first time not making it into the top 3-6 moves teams over to Fnatic. And look at that, Fnatic and the long standing feud between the lovers in the mid and jungle figure themselves out for Fnatic. So Trimby, his positive energy, I think, going a long way there for Fnatic and his career. For me, it's all right. This one I need crowd participation here. All right, I'm like a shitty DJ at a shitty warehouse club in Los Angeles, and it's like, all right, I know people aren't going to yell with me. All right, sure, in Cleveland, but there are a lot of shitty ones here too. Just buoyed by the fact that it's Los Angeles. And I'm like, all right, I need some crowd participation. I know you're not going to shout it back with me, but I need to hear it in the back. Hey, what's your favorite food? And you own it. Oh, sorry. What's your favorite condiment? And you own it. It's whose mayo? Our mayo! Dude, our mayo's been playing so well and is another one of those fringe players that has been performing and just can't stick to a team because he keeps getting fucking killed in the back by Acadian or some other jungler that is slightly better than him. Our Mayo has been shown up here and has been a lot of fun. Was that one okay? Yeah? Yeah? God, Twitch chat's fucking destroying me today.
All right. What would we be without a little cringe? That's part of the fun.
Part
of the fun.
So with that said, Armeo's played well. A jungler that doesn't necessarily always outhands you, especially given the fact that he's been playing for a while and looks like he's been playing even longer than what he's actually played. But he will path well. He supports his team really well. Player of the week this week, by the way, for the LCS. So good on Armeo to have himself another opportunity here on Evil Geniuses and also be part of the resurgence that they've had. Along with JoJo. I mean, JoJo's been pretty fucking great for that team. All right, there you go. There's our high key, low key, and no key moves for the split. If you agree with us, let us know in the comments below. If you don't agree with us, let us know in the comments below on this video. And we'll pick one or two of your comments, and I'll bring that up next week. All right, next up. It's our Galaxy Brain Club discussion. Time to get into it. This is one that everyone that watches this show will have a little piece of, other than Dom. Dom's already reclused his not even North Americanness, but his Westernness here, right? But the state of Western League of Legends, where are we at, right? We know that North America and LCS usurping Osh into part of it was kind of telling signs of things that aren't going well. But given the fact that LEC also kind of looking top heavy, some of the imports not working out, getting a little worried. So that is the topic of this week's discussion, the state of Western League of Legends. Let's get into it. Monte, please go first so that you don't tell us it's all doomed.
Oh no, I think it's doomed. The question is really like, year to year, what is the state of the West? And by the West, I mean Europe, because it's never been North America, guys. It's never at any point been North America. They've just been varying degrees of bad, and then sometimes we get like a European squad that's able to pop off and do some damage on an international level. Make a world finals a couple times, even though those didn't go great. Win an MSI, win an international tournament if you're Moscow 5, taking IEMs back in the day, right? But I think it looks pretty grim just because the level of the top teams in China and Korea right now is just been so good, and there are such really competitive matches, especially that are being played in the LPL right now. And you're also coming off an MSI where it looked pretty doomed. Like in the bracket stage of MSI, the Western teams all faced Eastern teams, and collectively in 4 best-of-3s won 1 game, and that was G2. And then G2 also took a game off of Bilibili in the lower bracket, but otherwise that was it. So G2 was really the only hope, and even then they didn't look particularly spectacular. I do think G2 looks better right now than they did at MSI, because I think Caps is having better performances. But it does seem like our expectations, particularly around Europe, it's been kind of a fiesta. And the teams that at least have the player talent to look really good in theory, like Vitality, have never clicked. So we're ending up with some kind of newer rosters that are a bit surprising. And LCS just looks super bad. I mean, I think it's completely doomed for LCS if Cloud9 is the best team, because they are too cavalier, and they're nowhere near the quality of some of these Eastern teams that they have to be facing at Worlds. But yeah, it was a really disappointing MSI for the West, and it's been a really disappointing start to summer.
Here's a cope angle for you, Dom, that the LCS players and some of the worst teams will play aggressive enough to keep the hands warm for the best teams, but then they're the ones that still need to continue to practice the macro. Is that cope, or is it how doomed is it?
I think it's pretty much the most doomed it's ever been. I mean, the thing is, you need to see an outlier in LCS or LEC, like a team that is really cohesive, that is just levels up on everyone else. And the best teams in Europe and NA right now, they don't have clean enough games where you feel confident. Like the best I felt all year was Winter Split G2, where it felt like, oh man, these guys are aggressive. Yeah. They got their own thing going. They have their own meta. They play the game in a way that I think could catch some of these teams off guard. Right now, when you see the way that the games are being played, where it's like, yeah, just take your enchanters, and even G2, who I think is the best Western team, is going like Braum Cog blind with like a Maokai, and it's just.
Well, first picking Maokai on blue side too. Which doesn't seem like something G2 would have done in either of the other splits. Like,
yeah, it seems
you're gonna first pick a kind of a more passive tank jungler for Yike. Like that's not been the team this year.
Yeah, I just don't like the way that they're playing, because I feel like they're not practicing things that I think are going to be realistic win conditions when you play against Eastern teams. I don't think you can go into a game and be like, here, OMG, have all your picks that you want, and we're just gonna sit back and scale. It's like, no, you're getting fisted. Like you're not scaling. Like you can't breathe when you play against some of these better teams that are going to be just like trying to win. So I don't know, man. It's tough to watch because I don't feel like the teams are getting better. And when you look at like the metas around the world, it seems like LEC and LCS just aren't even close to being able to execute the comps that are really OP right now. So, I mean, I think that consensus the best team in the world right now is JDG, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it could be different if you ask, other people. But let's say JDG is the consensus.
It's KT because they beat T1.
Yeah, for sure. And T1's the best team. So, I mean, that's my transitive property.
KT's no joke. KT does look extremely good right now. KT does look extremely good.
I don't think that they played that high of a level versus T1. I think that they
didn't really have to be fair.
Sure, but I mean, when you look at like some of the there's definitely sketchy sequences that are being played out. I mean, like we'll talk about KT versus T1 later. Anyways, point is, when you look at JDG, they're the best team in the world right now, and a lot of teams will look at the best team in the world and try to mimic what they do. And when you see how JDG takes team fights, where they play a ton of anti-Wukong, work on the same stuff that they won MSI with, they're just playing right now in LPL. And the way that they play it, the way they set up vision, the way that they understand how to team fight is on such a higher level than what you see in the West. Like in the West, it's like front to back. You don't see the same setups. Like everyone has separation anxiety. It's 5 people on the same screen. I was showing even bottom tier like LPL teams. Like I was watching LGD versus OMG this morning, and I would pause the game and I would just be like, look at where the champions are coming into this fight. You have like Asante with an engaged champion on one side. You have Annie coming from another angle that they have Red Sweeper. You have the AD carry just playing essentially alone like near the Dragon Pit. These types of setups are really fucking OP right now. And with the meta of Annie still being broken, it's not nerfed until 13-13. You have the Nico that's came in. We have no idea if this champion's ever going to be like actually dead out of the meta. It's first pick, first ban. It's really OP. When you have these champions being played, you need to be able to like separate and find angles. And I just feel like there's no angles. So the hope for the West, if I wanted to go a Mega Copium angle, is you got to hope that we end up in some like very simple front to back tank top, control mages mid, AD carry with enchanter, where everyone's just on the same screen and there's not a lot of like creative thinking that goes on, because I think that those fights could be winnable for a Western team. But if you're playing a meta where there's a lot of people that need to come from different angles, it's just not happening.
So when you describe a meta like this and players that excelled at that sounds like highs Cloud9, right? It sounds like a while ago where people were creative with those types of engages. It does kind of sound like maybe like Huhi's types of engages, but like I'm trying to rack my brain for like NA players that kind of embodied those types of team fights and those types of
Cloud9 2020 spring, when there was no MSI. That was
I actually think that iteration of Cloud9 might have been able to do something internationally. I'm really sad we didn't get MSI that year.
Yeah, that was probably the best team we've had in the last 5 years in terms of just coordination.
Was that the Perks?
No,
or that
was Niski.
No, that was Niski.
That was Niski, Blabber, Sven Vulcan. That was when they just got together. They went to Korea. They played 1 million games of Senna Affilios. They understood those champions before anyone else. They would play like Varus Tomkin. It just felt like you couldn't do anything because they had such a good understanding. And the way they took fights was so coordinated with so many different angles. Niski played the roaming style really well. Everyone was solid on that team. I think that was the best team that we've had in the last 5 years. And if it's not that, then you got to hope that meta falls into your lap. Because some teams just have coordination and they have just that it factor. We've had like 2019, 2020 G2, and then on a lower level, obviously, because it's NA, you had Cloud9 2020 spring, which ended up falling apart in summer, and we never got to see that team international.
Yeah.
But I think that's what you need.
So that's what we need to how do we fix it fundamentally, right? That's kind of what everyone wants to try and figure out. But I kind of wonder for both of you who, Monte, you've covered League for such a long time and had the opportunity to kind of guide, maybe not construct the exact roster that you wanted, but guide a team. And then Dom, you watch the most League out of anyone ever. How do we get to an infrastructure where players can allow that?
I mean, you can't, because the problem is it's a practice issue where if you aren't practicing in these environments and you're not constantly being pushed by other people, there's no way, I think, to achieve this. If you are able to win your scrims you can only play to the competition that you have, right? And so you can look at other teams, but why would you choose to do something that is more difficult to execute if you can win by doing the thing that's easy to execute within your own region, right? I think it's really, really tough and takes a special team and a special kind of coach in order to motivate people in order to go there. right? And there's just no point. There's just no point in doing it. I mean, the answer to this is the same answer I always give, which is that we need to create a super league on top of the regional leagues that has the 20 best teams in the world, that elevates those teams to the next kind of level. And we bring in some of the Western teams and we start constructing Western rosters that can live in Korea or China and get that level of competition on a daily basis. And this is not a hot take, because I can just tell you what happened in Overwatch when they made Overwatch League. The Korean teams were the best, and then everyone moved to the United States. Then all of a sudden, the US server was the most competitive server among pro players. And you know what? After year one, we saw combined Korean and Western rosters winning titles. And we saw Western players rise to the occasion. But you can only be a product of your scrim environment.
True.
Like, this is why if teams don't believe this, then why are they fucking boot camping in Korea? You know what I mean?
Kind of like gosh, what's an example here? It's a short-term fix, but they don't want to do the long-term fix. It's too expensive. You're further away from your sponsors. I don't know.
Well, and also people will blame the motivation of the players, which I think is true, but it's tough to be motivated when you are the best in your region and you're going to do the minimum it takes in order to continue to be the best. Right? If you're a real competitor and you're just getting shit stomped every day by LPL and LCK teams, like, you're going to get better. It's also easier to learn from behind than it is to innovate.
It is. Fudge hits that in the interview this week, so we could hear that. It's the title of the interview. The first time he cried playing League.
I mean, just ask yourself this question: other esports, why is it that for the most part CS:GO has had so many different people from different countries be able to succeed in the game? It's because they consistently have international tournaments. And so that has created a more level playing field for Counter-Strike players. Yeah, a lot of them are still European, but we had an era where Brazilian players were able to be on top for a significant amount of time.
Fallen and that whole
the Fallen Cold Zero, the called Fallen Cold Zero era, right? And these guys were practicing in North America, but when you have consistent international events and you have a circuit of competition that always has the best, then other people are going to have access to that and raise the level of competition. It's just not good enough to have 2 months of international events a year if you want these things to be good. Riot themselves has created this hell into which they have thrust the Western teams. I don't think it's a surprise that when there was an international circuit in League of Legends, that Moscow 5 was able to continuously do well. They were playing more frequently against good teams.
Question then, and Dom, you can weigh in on this. The leagues would overlap. In this, let's say we take like a CSGO kind of approach. We still have the major leagues, so your regular season leagues, but then you play these online regional league tournaments that will lead to international events. How do you fit that schedule in? And do you feel like, Dom, maybe this leads to like actual burnout, like true like competitive player burnout, rather than like burnout because I'm grinding scrims all day?
I mean, I'm not exactly sure. I think that. So I don't know if this has been said, but the rumor in next split is that you're going to be in a triple. Everyone's going to be LEC format essentially. So you're going to get LEC format, and you're going to get like one extra international, and maybe that's something where it's like you play six weeks in your region, you go boot camp, go to an international, like play the international, come back another 6 weeks, boot camp, like maybe just having more of that instead of this like huge break could help the leagues, the lesser leagues overall. I think that that's maybe an angle, because then you don't feel like you're just grinding for like 6 months and then you get this shot and you play and everything's mega fucking different on that patch, and then you come back and you play a completely different patch, and the next time you go to an international tournament it just feels so fucking low. It's like what we learned didn't even matter. And I think that that's one of the things that Fudge has said in his interviews is like, you could watch the games, you can analyze them after you lose internationally, and you can try to improve. But then when you go to the next international, you have completely different problems and a completely different meta against completely different players, and it just feels like it's not that applicable. It's not that useful.
There you go. That was from my the spring championship interview. He did say that. So I don't like this because it feels very non-conclusive and not a lot of easy paths forward other than, this rumored triple split move that LEC was testing out. But
I mean, I already spoiled that for everybody and said that LCS is going to move to that format. Like,
yeah. That was you, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but it's not even LCS. Like what I heard is that it's like that's going to be a global thing. It's going to be like these types of splits tournament, these types of splits tournament. That was my main point.
Yeah. Well, if they want to add another international event, it has to be like that, right?
Yeah.
It has to be like that. Because you have to have the same break schedule, which also, by the way, conveniently, guys, nobody from Riot is ever going to get fired for imposing the league format on everybody worldwide. Because remember that Korea used to have 3 tournaments a year, and they were told in 2015 that they could not run this format any longer, and they had to run fucking double round robin within the league. And so here we are. And so we literally spent like 8 years of this game on some bullshit formats that nobody ever liked, and no one is ever going to have to be responsible for inflicting this upon us, which is just ridiculous.
Well, sounds like it wasn't just a North American thing, so it would be global. I wonder who was global. Global head of esports at that time in 2015. You can go ahead and do it, detectives, and figure that one out. All right. Well, TLDR, state of Western law, kind of fucked, but maybe better next year. We have some solutions, but it sounds like it's further down the road.
Yeah, I don't think it's like it's a thing where there's going to be consistent progress towards an NA or EU team being competitive with the Chinese or Korean team. I think it's going to be like one of these teams is going to be they're just going to catch something good. There's going to be some innate chemistry. The players just are playing well.
Yeah, patches
are good for them. Like
it's the lightning in a bottle. Like G2 was not intended to be that good. Like Fanatic, it was just that group of players on G2 that was capable of winning MSI was luck, and it was beautiful, and they played an entirely different style of League of Legends than anyone in the world, and that's what made it so fucking fun, right?
So that's just to Dom's point. That's how far away we are from it. We're talking about how to get back to getting one team possibly having a performance that is exciting, not truly becoming rivals to the powerhouses of China and Korea quite yet.
Just like wait and see. It's like maybe one of these teams just it clicks, That's it. That's your hope.
All right, here's our guy. No greater expert on global League of Legends based off of what he watches. He gives us wait and see.
Well, I think that's just the truth. Pray. It's hard because like, at the end of the day, I don't think either Dom or I really give a shit about the Western performance, right? So
I kind of do.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I want to see LCS do well.
Okay, fine.
I would love to see, also it's just like I have different reasons why I want to see things succeed. Like I don't want to watch LCS become more and more shit, and then people go back in time and be like, this is how bad it's always fucking been. Like, no, it's gotten progressively worse and worse and worse and fucking worse to the point where like it's like 3 and 15 group stages, right? Like that. This wasn't a standard. Like there used to be more parity between teams at first. Like at least it looked like it could be winnable, like you could take games off teams in best of 5s. Like that's not the case anymore. Like now the second best Chinese team is just dicking down the best NA team like fucking mega stomps, not even fucking close. Like that's what's going on now. So I mean, there's that. And then also at LEC, I just know a lot of the players and I'd like to see them do well. So I wish it wasn't like this, but I don't know how you can watch. Like this is what happens. Everyone who watches as much LPL as I watch just eventually loses hope. Like I'm talking to Yamato and Gillies and we just watch games every single day. And I can feel them becoming more and more negative about the West. Like now when we watch LECs, like these teams are all fucking shit. Europe is so doomed. Whereas before they always had hope, And now they're just
That's
like,
right.
how the fuck,
the knowledge has doomed them to, they have to confront reality now.
You can't watch that much.
Then you pivot and you say, well, why do I want Europe to win? Maybe I should let that feeling go and just bask in the glory of real League of Legends. No. It's time to give up. It's time to give up on the inside.
No,
that's the way you find true happiness. It's Buddhist, guys. You have to give up on your attachments, okay, and be present and observe the glory around you. Give up on your attachment. Detach yourselves from the West.
Come on, y'all. That's right. That's right. Soda Jurum Jime. Never give up. Never give up. All right. There we
go. Definitely get rid of your attachments. Then you will see the divine light of Asian League of Legends, and you'll be much happier.
Yeah. LPL is pretty fucking fun to watch, man. Like, that's all I'm saying.
I will say, because of our next segment, it's certified banger of the week. Because of this segment, and I go back and we forecast which matches to watch. When I go back and watch the VODs, it's so clear. Look, I'm not the game expert, but it's so clear how crisp and how coordinated the level of play is, and it just makes you happy. Because you'll watch LCS and you'll scratch your head, unless the team that you like is winning. You'll scratch your head and be like, what the fuck am I watching? What a fiesta. But when you watch LCK and you go watch LPL, you're like, wow, everything happened the way it should be. And the surprises are in the details. It's not like, what is this person thinking? It's so much better. So there is that. If you do want to continue to be a dreamer, go watch it. And then imagine that it's actually Insanity now on Team Liquid, who has an opportunity to do that.
And you don't have to give up your attachment all at once. LCS is on the deathbed, right? So you can go into the LCS hospice, and Dom will help guide you through this painful experience that you are having right now.
Yep.
Dom will help you. He will guide you through the death of the LCS in Dom's hospice and take you to LPL heaven at the end.
I had to watch my career die twice with Riot Games banning me at 2 separate occasions. So I'm used to, like, I've been through the process a couple times. I can help you through and give you some tips as to what I learned during the process.
So by the way, guys, as an aside, if you do want to watch the LCS this week, we actually here at Last Free Nation have a match of the week for you from LCS. Now, part of that is because there are not so many good matches coming up this week, but it is going to be EG versus C9, which is our match of the week. And what that means, guys, is that with Esports Bet, if you use the referral code below and you sign up, you can get a 10% additional profit up to 100 USDT or its equivalent in another cryptocurrency, or the for free version, which is DJT, which you can play with on your first bet on that matchup. So it's a great deal. It was the Telecom War last week, by the way. KT won with 2.8 odds, and you got an additional 10%, which was fucking nutty. And you can get a sign-up bonus of 50% up to $100, or a risk-free $100 first bet also upon sign-up. So lots of incentives, but C9 versus EG, LFN match of the week this week. Go make your predictions now. Get that extra 10% on your first bet up to 100 USDT. And by the way, the odds right now are 1.6 for C9 and 2.25 for EG. So
that's crazy. I'm gonna fucking bet that right now. Like, what the fuck is that? All right, you convinced me, Monte. It's time.
Who are you taking, Dom? Who are you taking?
Oh, 9. What the fuck? 1.6 for Cloud? Yeah, for 1.6. Are you fucking kidding me? Also, I've been running the LEC. I'm the CEO of that shit. My bets this week, oh my God, I was killing. I was up 10 units in fucking 14 bets. I was up 10 units. Like,
holy moly.
Yeah, I had some fucking bangers. I had what did I have that really hit? I had G2 versus Astralis under 29. That was 2.6 odds. That hit. I had XL money line versus Mad. I took XL to win versus Mad. That was 2.77 odds. That hit. Then I had Fnatic money line versus Mad. That was 2.429 odds.
Wow.
I mean, dude, I had some juicers, man. Like, Jesus.
So there you go.
I robbed them.
Dom can help you at all times by going on his watch parties for LEC. He's all over this shit, doing great. So maybe take some of
and I literally just call out every single bet before I do it. So
there you go. There you go.
Can't guarantee you win every time, but so far we are up 33 units. So not bad.
Thank you very much to our friends over at Esports Bet for making it possible. All right, let's close it on out. Certified banger of the week. We had 2 top of the table matches. We're going to cover one of those, and the other one is a banger match from the LPL as well. It was KT versus T1 and BLG versus Weibo Gaming. Let's get into it. All right, the telecom wars, Monte. This was the 50% of yesterday or last week's big predictions that he got right, and it was an emphatic correct. It was not a 2-1. You know, even after winning the first game, Monte, I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel a throw coming. That first game was just 2 kills after 3 drakes, and everyone's just kind of waiting around to see what happens. And you know, it could be a flip.
KT's never losing that game. KT's never losing that game to T1. Like that's like the most KT game ever. Like when I saw that, I had the opposite reaction. I'm like, oh, if this is how T1 comes, if T1 is not playing aggressive lanes and they're not trying to like dick down the bot lane with 4 people, if that's not the way the game is being played and you're just farming and going to setups, T1's never winning.
Yeah, I think the thing with KT is that they have, so as a result of them pivoting to pick comps like halfway through last split, which is where, you know, the BDD Twisted Fate started getting played, they really have been quite good about objective control with these pick compositions. They do a good job of pre-warding, setting up vision, and intercepting people on the way to especially kind of drakes in the mid game. And it becomes very difficult to play against them. And now that we're in a meta where, first off, teams feel like they just have to ban Azir versus BDD. So what does he end up getting? Well, he ends up getting Twisted Fate, or he ends up getting Annie, or other of these Talia, these mid roamers, which he can then play to whichever lane, whichever of his side lanes is playing kind of a strong side matchup or needs help from him. Like Keen was playing tanks in these games, but he's also perfectly comfortable playing Renekton or Quinn into Renekton, which is what we saw earlier in the week. And then that's what also, you know, Rich was playing later on in the LCS as well, as kind of a Renekton like split push counter, right? And so there really isn't a lot of pressure on the champion pools because Cuz has enough picks that he can play, and teams feel like there are enough ban-worthy champions, especially the Azir, that it does mess up their drafts versus KT, and it's not like that's really slowing BDD down. I think if I were teams, I would probably try and target the Sejuani and the Viego on Cuz and see what happens next, because you're just it's not enough to take out some of these other picks in the meta. But yeah, I think KT looked pretty good in this game. T1 didn't play very well, so I think it's hard to get a read from KT. And unfortunately, in the series they played against Gen G was the one where they forced KT convincingly won game 1, and game 2 they forced aiming to sell that static shiv, and it kind of like ruined the series. So we don't, and it was also on a previous patch before the Azir buffs came through, which were also really important, I think, for KT. But on this patch, I think KT looks pretty solid right now.
Dom, thoughts?
No, I agree. I mean, I think they look solid, but I mean, I'm the hater, right? So let's go the other angle. I think T1 is playing so bad compared to what you feel like they should be playing. I mean, when I'm watching T1 play, I don't understand why they like completely alter their style and they never went back to it. Like something happened. It's not like they're like people were beating them when they were playing strong side bot. When they were playing, you know, aggressive bot lanes, bringing the mid to bot lane, and they were diving.
Yeah.
That was working every time. And it's like, yeah, sure, they nerfed the 80 carry bot laners, but you could, the funny thing is when they played against BLG, didn't BLG do just that to them?
Yes.
They were playing like these Lulu lanes, pushing in the lane, diving them on cooldown. So they're getting their ass beat by that same strategy. So I thought that was going to be like a wake up call to T1 and be like, hold up, that's us. BLG just out T1'd us. Let's just go back to doing our own thing. And when you watch them play, they always are picking like losing or neutral bots. They don't do anything proactive, and they just kind of like wait to lose. So there's some weird dynamic going on in T1. It definitely looks like they've lost trust in each other or something. Like they look way more lifeless than they used to look. And I don't know if it's just the losses getting to them, or it's the fact that it's like they choked in other finals. And they're like, oh shit, like do we always choke finals? Are we ever going to win? It just looks like their mindset is really bad. They went back to being ultra passive. They were by far the most aggressive team in Korea when they were winning. Like it wasn't even fucking close. Like they were stomping everyone so quickly. And that's why people were just saying they were the best team in the world, because of how far ahead they were going. They would just take the lead early, close you out quickly. There wouldn't be much like breathing room for the enemy team. And now I just look at them and they look so lifeless.
Yeah, it's also that they really seem to have like a really strong amount of trust and synergy with each other, which isn't there anymore. I mean, if we think back to halfway through the spring split when they were just totally dominant, right? It wasn't just the Hail of Blades, Caitlyn support. It was really like there are some very dynamic dives that are happening with Gragas and Lee Sin, where they're willing to dive these turrets and have the faith that these abilities are going to be comboed, or like, the Lee Sin is going in on an Ezreal with flash and heal up and E up. And the Yasuo is going to be off the screen in the fog of war, and that Lee Sin kick is going to be enough to set up the Yasuo ult that is going to, assassinate this AD carry in the middle of the team. And so for me, what was so impressive about T1 was just this fundamental trust and teamwork that when one person went in, that they were going to be able to mechanically play a dive. And I think that's what it feels like is missing now. Right? It doesn't feel like it's the same level of synergy that they have anymore.
But they don't play things that like have combos anymore. Like when you look at their comps,
the game one comp.
Yeah, I mean, think about what they were playing before. Gragas, Lee Sin. How many different ways can you move an enemy champion around with those two champions?
Sure. And there's no reason why they can't continue to play these champions, by the way. It's not like
they're not getting banned.
Lee Sin is a fringe meta pick, sure, but it has been used successfully in LCK already this split.
I mean, you just watch the games that they're playing. They're opting into the Azir. That's what's so weird to me, is they're opting into things like Azir, where they should be willing to play all the aggressive stuff that's still in the meta. They should be the team that's playing Annie Lee Sin, Annie Viego, fucking Nico Lee Sin, Nico Viego, Nico, like bring Rek'Sai out. It's pretty fucking OP right now in solo queue. I want to see some of these picks that allow them to do what they're good at, but somewhere along the way, they just completely lost their confidence in the style. And I don't know why, because we didn't get to see it on stage. I don't know if it happened in scrims where they played a scrims for a week and they were just losing to better teams. Like, all right, we have to drop it. But something changed with their mentality in between spring and now.
Do you have a problem with this first draft, right? The Renekton, Kindred, Nico, Kai'Sa, Nautilus. I feel like it doesn't have those same great synergies with the mid jungle combo, and then also a mid jungle duo, and then also like Faker. I don't know. He looked uncomfortable this whole series, but he looked particularly uncomfortable on Nico, and then I felt like he just looked rusty on the Azir, even after being deposited that very weird level, whatever it was, kill with BDD on TF.
Yeah, they kind of KT kind of ran it at level 1 in that game, but then they got back very quickly within the game.
I mean, those are the things that I think are like not going to translate well internationally. That's the reason why I think LPL is stronger right now than LCK is when you look at KT and Genji are the best teams, but then you see there's like a lack of precision in the early game. And I just think that these things are going to be exploited by the other team. Like if you saw how fast T1 gave the game back, that was kind of
that
insane.
was very bad. I thought it was over for KT off of like the first couple minutes of that game.
I mean, you have a TF who needs to be like at least able to roam. Like you don't want the TF to be behind, obviously. And the TF gets solo killed by the Azir. So Azir is going to have perma pressure. It should be very hard for TF to ult out of lane.
Super sloppy solo kill too.
It was just great. I mean, you saw BDD's reaction. BDD like gets solo killed. He's like, he can barely even look at the screen. He's like, what the fuck, man? Like, oh my god, I ran it.
That was like it was bad.
yeah. So he had that, and then
just watching him like walk into all those sand soldiers and river with like Conqueror up, I was like, oh god.
Yeah, it was really painful. He is spellbook, by the way. He is spellbook on TF. Like, and he just walks in, and then the bot fight was really poorly played by KT by Cuz. Like Cuz flashed what he didn't need to flash. If he gets hit by the knockup by Rakan, the idea should be Kha'Zix is not a champion unless you're isolated, right? As soon as he gets hit by the knockup, the Lulu can just walk on top of him. Gumayushi's no mana. You just fight. Fight them off. The Kha'Zix probably has to flash there, but they fucked that up. And then Cuz has no flash. You know, he was 100% HP when this fight happened. 30 seconds later, he obviously got chunked. He's like 60% HP, and then he's like solo diving to try to cancel a recall, and then he just dies for free, and suddenly T1's up 2-0. The fact that this is part of the reason why I have the mentality that something is wrong with T1 is how is T1 not winning that game? Like, how are they not? Like, maybe
it was free.
super late.
It was free.
But how do they not have any advantage? It feels like they're like behind after this happens somehow. So it was mega weird to me.
I will give KT some credit in coming back into that game, because I think they played pretty well around vision. I mean, the reason why Keen was able to get some good ults off was a combination of vision granted from Twisted Fate ult, and also good like pink ward vision control that allowed
And
some
like hiding around angles.
Yeah, flash Malphite ult from the darkness when they didn't know where he was, because they had pre-planned the vision game very well. I mean, Keen's a great player. So I think that there were ways that KT played well to get back into that game, but they definitely like hard griefed in the first couple minutes of that game, and I think against very good teams it would be challenging to come back from that.
Yeah, you're not coming back that easily versus like JDG, for example. Like JDG is like there to fucking scrap.
Yeah, it was a good reminder of Keen's class, but also like he was just dunking Faker and Gumayusi multiple times with these Malphite ults that were just like,
yeah, but also
what?
like
What are we doing?
These are other things where it's like, why are both carries? This is stuff you learn in season 3. Don't stack up. Like people always talk about that. Are you playing on top? Okay, if you play on top side, I'll play on bot side, and the two carries will just not stand together, so you can't get womboed. Like you never want the whole team to be stacked up at the same place.
Yeah.
So that was pretty strange. But even like sequentially, not. Like that happened later on in the game, but the way that KT got back in, like how does BDD just walk bot and get a free ult on the Xayah when the game circumstance is that? When the bot lane is ahead, Guma's up a fucking kill, and Azir's ahead. How is TF just able to just walk bot and get a free ult? Like they should wait until Azir goes mid and pushes in the fucking wave and puts BDD under the turret, and then Gumayusi can push out the bot wave. They can call jungle if they need it for the push out. There's no patience. They just like let KT have whatever they wanted. Like everyone knows what TF does, but TF ult is not global anymore. You actually have to be hovering on that side of the map where you're gonna go, and they just let him walk and get back into the game, and nothing was taken by T1 out of it. It's not like there was plates from
did you
Azir
ever
or
play
anything.
the game? Did you ever play the game when TF port was on his E?
Yes, in beta, yeah.
In beta. Yeah. So guys, if you don't know this, so his he used to have wild cards, pick a card, and then his E was porting, and his R was revealing the like all the enemy champions, right? So he used to be able, just on cooldown, you could teleport blind into like random brushes on the map. Also, gold card used to be an AoE stun. That was a thing. But this is just an aside for you guys to understand how TF used to be.
What was the cooldown on E? Was it like still a minute or whatever?
Yeah, it was
it was like 60 seconds, I guess.
Yeah, it was like a minute. But anyway, it was incredibly broken.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of our 2 bangers of the week, just because it was the top table matchup, first time in a little while where KT gets over the hump, and they looked good. They looked really good. Not unbeatable, but really good, and also kind of confusing. You'll see some of these nuances that we're not used to seeing T1 coordinate on as much. So the LCK banger of the week.
Yeah, I think for those people who are saying like, oh, there are a bunch of LCK homers out there. I think most of the people who watch the LCK right now are mostly saying that this split doesn't look that good in terms of overall level. Like, even though Genji hasn't lost a match yet, like Doran's play has been fucking bad.
Yeah, he's been bad for sure.
Sometimes
that guy runs it. He had 2 good games and he's making a fucking career. He bought himself somehow an extra fucking year of being on Genji by playing 2 fucking good games in his entire career.
He has had some like good team fighting on Renekton, but he's also like griefed in some of these games early. And to Dom's point earlier, against like good LPL teams, it's going to be very, very hard to come back from the early deficits that you have.
I mean, we saw it. We literally just saw him play against Bin, right? Like the way he lane versus Bin was just inexcusable. And then suddenly the Jax is a fucking menace in the game. Even if Jax is not solo carrying it, the threat of Jax in that game makes the whole fucking game unplayable for the rest of his team.
So yeah, Doran has had some rough times, and so that makes you like not have a lot of faith in Gen G. Peanut also has like completely thrown at times by doing classic Peanut things like overextending. It was a miracle they didn't lose to T1 in their match that they played. And so KT, in spite of some of their flaws, does look pretty convincingly like the best team on this patch. And that's why people are worried about LCK, is that if you compare them to some of like the monster teams that are over in the LPL, I think, what's so fucking gross about JDG, for example, is that 369 will just solo kill you top on a tank while Kanavi's just hard camping bot. And then all of a sudden, both sides of the map are ahead. And then JDG just completely just like shit stomps you. It's very hard to win against a team who is capable of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that JDG, the problem is that they've found a way if they want to play a game, and you can't stop them from playing the way they want to play. Like 369 will just play every tank in the game, so you can't be like, well, just ban his Ornn. It's like he'll play Ornn, he'll play Gragas, he'll play Cassante, he'll play Sion. Like you just can't ban him out, right? Like he's going to be relevant no matter what. And
then also he might solo kill you with no help and then widen that lead. It's just like it feels almost unfair at times watching JDG, because it's like, come on, JDG, you can't also have this advantage. That's illegal.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've started just calling. I've been like, damn, bro, like they're kind of cringe, because normally when a team is at the top of the table and they've been so dominant for so long, they'll stop like playing their like known best champs, and they'll kind of go outside of the box. But it feels like every single game JDG is like, oh, Annie's up, oh, Annie Wukong are up, yeah, Annie Wukong and fucking Gragas, Annie Wukong Cassante, Annie Wukong Ornn. And what do we have bot side? Oh, we have like, Ruler playing his Aphelios, we have Ruler playing whatever his champs. Oh, Zaya Rakan. Yeah, he'll even play Kaisa if he has to. It seems so annoying, because it's like they don't give you a break. You're like fucking anyone's legend. You come in there and you just get booty blasted for no reason.
They won't even happy game against you. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, I mean, they might lose a game here and there. I mean, they did drop a game to AL, but it's like, I don't know. Like their happy games don't even like look that happy. It's like, shit, bro. Like we lost. Okay, we're gonna beat your ass even harder next game. We're gonna beat you so hard next game that it's gonna count as 2 wins for us.
Winning's fun. Winning makes me happy. That's basically what it is. Again,
they're the guy that's like try-harding when they're smurfing. Like they're the guy that just fucking is like a challenger player, and he's doing unranked to challenger, and then it's like TF Blade. He's just playing Jax every game versus like plat players. Like, come on, bro. Like you're not gonna even just give him a little bit of room to breathe. You're not gonna play like Camille or something, have some fun. No, Jax every game.
Well, let's move into the other game of the week. It is in the LPL. It's Weibo Gaming and Bilibili Gaming. This was a great 3-game series. Oh man, what a throw. Weibo and Bilibili had a heck of a game number 1 that was slow until third Drake, and then afterwards there was this TP play by Bin, who accidentally got caught out on the TP and then dies before you can TP while they were ahead, and then eventually everything goes to shit there. And Weibo was able to get the victory in that one. But Bilibili able to battle back and show the class. They end up winning 2-1 in this series. Dom, what jumped out at you about this one?
I thought it was really interesting to see like the clash of styles in game 3. We rarely see that, where a team picks engage, and Weibo just played one of the most like difficult comps to engage into. They played the Heimer Varus, which is something that people have kind of fallen off. When I was watching that game, by the way, I was like, why does the T1 just play this shit? Why don't they just play the lane dominant shit and just abuse you in lane and try to win the game like that? So Weibo went for this comp plus Jace plus Maokai, and then they have a Kennen top. It's like one of the hardest comps to run into. And BLG had Cassante, Wukong, Nico, Aphelios, Rakan. So it's like Rakan, Wukong, and plus Nico or Annie. That's what a lot of teams are running right now in the LPL. And for a while, it looked so hard for BLG to play. So I thought the most interesting part was to watch how BLG was able to like navigate these fights. Like how were they able to win this game? Because a lot of the fights, it looks really hard. I mean, you get hit by Maokai Sapling, get hit by a Jace fucking EQ. Enemy team has Heimer turret set up. It's just very hard for them to actually like get a fight. But they were able to like cut their loss as well. They didn't into it. They were smart about the way they took fights. And eventually, like the Shy made one mistake, and they leveraged it into like a whole game win.
Well, they got Elder off
that you see a lot.
Yeah. So what happened, guys? Is the Shy was accidentally kind of hit the blast cone wrong at Baron and got caught in the pit after Baron had been taken, died, and then unfortunately Elder was spawning in like 20 seconds, and even then, even then, they almost were able to get to win that final fight too, despite being down and having like the Shy reviving for that one. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. I wasn't in love with the static shiv on the Kennen on Shy in this game, because if you're going to be playing for the peel, like I get that you want to create some amount of pressure in the side lane with the static shiv, but I'm not sure that was the build I would have gone for in this particular circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, they both kind of ended with the static shiv game. It seems like
yeah,
static shiv is not that good.
I think it could be, but in game number 1, they didn't actually split push with it.
Well, you can't versus Nocturne.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because if you try to split push Nocturne, just ult. I think that the Shy game of Kennen is a better theoretical shiv game than the one that Bin played, because the one that Bin played, it's just very hard to split push versus Nocturne. It's just I
just wish you had Zonias in that final game. You know what I mean? Instead of like, I think if you have a Zonias on the Shy, you can do your job better of providing that front line and hampering the engage of Bilibili.
Yeah, I mean, I think also when people are going static shiv, it should be just something that you view as another item that's a possibility. You should commit to it before the game starts, because in the fight where the early game fight in game number 1, where Bin TP's in,
yes.
Bin is on
and
first
he has that
base.
amazing like flash engage.
Yeah, he has an amazing flash opportunity, and he's TPing for a fight as he bases. So there, if he's gonna fight, he should be looking for items that are gonna make that fight better for him. If he's about to team fight at level 6, you don't need to fucking buy a Kershey shard and a longsword. Like, that's not going to make you stronger at the fight. What's going to make you stronger is an alternator, a dark state. Like, just build some AP and then go for this play. So I think people are too committed to the idea of static shiv before the game's even played. You have to be more cognizant of how the game is playing out and do the math of, okay, static shiv is going to help me clear side lanes. It's going to give me more value in being able to get ahead. But is that going to be better than the AP right now, the items I need right now? Because if static shiv doesn't allow you to get to the items that you need
it was
anyway, then you're just going to be behind.
It was depressing because you're watching this fight. First off, the Shy played the fight really well on the Renekton by flashing over and he was. I mean, it was great play by the Shy too. So I don't want to. But watching Bin like flash over into this choke point and stun 4 with the ult and deal like no damage because he was AD Kennen was sad. It was sad to watch because it just feels like you're about to get this massive orgasmic play, and then you just get instantly blue balled, right? It was so depressing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was one of the first fights actually in that game 1. No damage coming out of it though. Again, great series, back and forth, and just also the dragon stacking by Weibo. That was kind of an interesting I guess happenstance that led to, hey, we get Baron there, or they get Baron, which is fine or whatever, but now the Elder's up, so we can flip the game on its head at 31 minutes, which is why it ended up ending so quickly. So
also the Cloud Soul is just fucking amazing on their composition too. If you have like Renekton, Nocturne, Nautilus, like just really good. So certainly helped when you're trying to protect a hyper carry Zeri in the back line that you have Cloud Soul on some of these champions.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There you have it. North American fans that, or I guess Western fans that need a little bit of palate cleanser. Maybe you just watched that last Vitality match and you want to watch something that has a little bit more coordination. Here you go, back and forth between these 3 teams.
You can watch actually good Chinese players.
Oh wow! You are hyping up Bo, man.
I know that was there it is. All right, this is the second time he's done it, dude.
Final betrayal on Bo is complete.
No, I gave up on him fast. Like, there's some things that are just unacceptable to me, and like just the way he plays is just like it just looks like he doesn't give a fuck. As soon as I see that out of a player, I'm fucking done with them.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I will say about Bilibili, one of the things that I really enjoy about them is that they react so well and so quickly. Like they don't tunnel on things on the map. It's like they're constantly reevaluating the situation that they find themselves in and are looking for the way to push their advantage. And it's really fun to watch them do that. Like a lot of teams will just be like, well, we started this Herald, so therefore we must go back to it after this team fight. But no, like they're watching to see how the other team's reacting and then trying to maximize the value of that. So they're thinking on the fly and communicating really well, and it's fun. Like I think that's my favorite thing to watch about Bilibili as a team.
Yep.
Yagao is just a very smart player.
Yeah. He's
smart player.
very similar to Faker, to be honest, and like how his play style is. Like this is what you're looking for. He's just the playmaking mid laner of China right now.
Yeah, I did feel that I got to see that in summer playoffs of last year in LPL. And that was like his fucking Rise plays were so cool. And I felt like I kind of missed out on that a little bit at the start of this year, but I'm getting it again now, and I really enjoy watching that.
Yeah, I felt like he came into form during MSI. Something clicked for BLG during MSI because they were always like a kind of sketchy team that could throw games. You never felt like they were in that much control. But something happened at MSI where they just became like the best version of themselves.
If we're talking about that, I feel like Elk has settled into his role and isn't just hinting as well and finding the nice skirts of places to do damage. It's been fun to watch.
Elk had a really fun outplay on the dive in game 2 as well from Poppy, where he like flash pulled back the feathers in order to secure the kill on the attempt on the redive. I thought that was
these
cute.
motherfuckers are good at League. I don't know what to say. When I watch them play, I mean, there's a reason I'm waking up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm on like 3 hours of sleep right now because I watched OMG versus LGD literally 14 hours ago at this point is when it started. And man, I don't know, they're fucking good. Like they just play the game well. It's nice to see.
Well, you guys at home don't have to stay up until 4 a.m. or get up at 4 a.m. to see the banger of the week. We got you right here in those two matches, KTT1 and BLG versus WBG, or I guess Weibo, were both our bangers of the week. All right, guys. Another episode done and dusted. Couple weeks in the books now for our major Western regions. Flyquest are tied with 2 other teams from all regions that have played 6 games. It would be one Leviathan in Latin America and Kaboom Esports in Brazil. The only 2 other teams that have gone winless through 6 matches so far. Pretty brutal. The other couple of teams that are winless, they haven't played 6 matches yet, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Do they win a game this week? Yes or no? That's how we close out the show.
I have to believe that Flyquest will win a game this week. I'm shocked they lost to Dignitas, but
yeah, they'll win a game. Like
they'll win a game. And they, if they don't win a game this week, they will have lost to every single team in the LCS.
They're not losing to Immortals this week.
Dom giving you
I really
picks.
hope not. Going the complete round robin and getting totally defeated by everybody would be. By the way, I would have loved to have seen the odds on that happening before this split starts. That you think Flyquest is going to lose to every single team before they get a win? That would be fucking insane.
No, they're not losing to Immortals. The other ones though, EG. Oh wait, no, who do they play? They play NRG and they play against Liquid as well. I don't know. They could go 1-8 pretty easily and not even look that bad doing it. You know, like they might just be a 1-8 team at this point.
That's crazy.
Not look that bad. You mean it'd be a good 1-8?
Yeah, well, like I mean, just perform like at their level. You know, like they might just like play as well as they can and just lose to NRG. Like that could happen.
You know, are you, Dom? Are you excited this week to see your boy Viper go up against D+ and Gen G?
I just want to see what happens with his jungler because I've been hearing some rumors. I don't speak Korean, but like,
I mean, they could have gotten Dread. We keep going back to that. Dread's just there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know what's happening with their jungler. Like, is Clid done? Is he even gonna play? Like, I saw a fucking thread on Reddit saying he was accused of sexual assault or like harassment. I don't know.
I didn't see that. Holy moly.
Yeah. So I don't even know what's happening with that team.
Well, you know what? As we've stated before, they might have 2 better junglers than Dandy and Mowgli on their coaching staff. That is a possibility. Yeah. That's not an outrageous statement.
Dang, Dandy getting in there and dusting off the dust. That'd be cool. That's like Oh, one thing that happened last week. I'm not sure if I said it on the broadcast or on our show. Nuke Duck gets his first kill in the LCS. Like, that just seems so fucking cool to me. Dude's been playing for fucking ever and then comes over 10 years later after he starts his career, gets his first kill. No one hit on that. They're like,
how many kills does Faker have in the LCS?
That's right.
That's your fucking goat. Imagine that. And that's your fucking goat. Okay.
All right.
LPL. Are there good LPL games this week?
Yeah.
WE versus LNG.
Are we catching you?
OMG LNG.
Ooh, spicy. Oh, that's true. I see that one.
Oh, OMG. Wait. Oh, yeah. OMG LNG is Sunday. It's that one. I mean, the games are not like super insane. LNG WE I think is pretty good, but I mean today's games are actually not bad. OMG LGD and then like top esports WE. I thought that one was going to be close, and WE kind of smacked top esports. So it gives you hype for the LNG WE match that's later, because WE came off a loss to TT, so it's like, okay, did they just play really bad teams at the start? They lost to OMG, which is expected because I think OMG is just legitimately a top 4 team in China right now. Like, that's just how it looks, right? Like, they beat Weibo. They were top 4 last split. They beat everyone who they're supposed to beat. The only losses they have are to BLG, JDG. And then, yeah, WE, like, losing to OMG and then losing to TT. I wasn't sure how good they were, but, I mean, they smacked top esports. And also, I think 13-12 meta is good for WE. Like, Azir coming back. It's one of Shank's champions. Yeah, I just think that might be a better look for them. And Hang, their jungler, is really good. So, we'll see.
What was the match that we're looking for in the LCK?
There is
Genji Hanwha?
It's the Hanwha week of Hanwha. They've been playing some kind of weaker opponents, and so this week they play D+ and T1. So it's kind of a or D+ and Genji rather. So it's kind of a moment of truth for them. T1 also plays D+, but D+ kind of looks like shit. So I'm not sure they're going to be able to win any of those.
I mean, when I watch Canyon play, he looks mega tilted, and Kana is just bad. Kana is just not good enough. So it's tough.
Canyon has had some fun games on, like, Jungle
Sion.
Nico.
Yeah, he played Sion.
Jungle Nico game was great.
Yeah, no, that was probably. I mean, that was a really good game. I watched that game, and I mean, he was. The thing that's crazy is he looks better than mid laners on the champion. Like the way he used the whole kit, the way he was using the transforms. It's like, bro, were you playing this before, or like how did you actually get good at this? Because some mid laners played it when it came out. They thought it might be good. It was like fringe meta for a bit, and then it kind of disappeared. Canyon is fucking special, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing about Dgon that triggers me is they do things to try to give Kana a better time, where they'll pick Sion and they'll rotate a jungle. Like the flexing of Sion jungle is not supposed to be really good for Canyon. It's not like jungle Sion is good at all. It's that he's going to like take an L to have somebody else have a really good matchup. Similar to what Kanavi did in finals of MSI, where he took the Nautilus, where it's not a great pick, but if it gives your laner an ability to like not get countered or a mega counter the other guy himself, that should be an advantage. And it's just never an advantage. I don't know. It's tough to watch.
Easy to watch. Easy to watch is the matchup of the week over the LCS. Cloud9 and Evil Geniuses. Woo!
It's all right. There will be 3 people watching that game, as we've learned from LCS viewership.
Hey, I got some viewers. Look, if you want to talk about proportionately, my co-stream has not gone down close to the amount of viewers that the LCS in general has gone down.
Yeah, you're doing great. You have all the Schadenfreude viewers.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, I've trained them for that. Like,
very good. Very good.
You were talking about some of the odds that you were getting for the bets for your LEC. It's probably because Flyquest is doing so bad and just raking in so much money on their bets earlier, right? It has to be that. They're just like, yeah, sure. Well, if someone pays attention to LEC, we'll throw some money over there. These odd makers are just,
sure.
I think they got a little loose. All right. We'll call it there. All right, everyone. You'll catch Dom on his streams all week long. Monte, where will people catch you?
Somebody Insight on Wednesday. We had to skip a week of doing the new show with me and Doa on our Last Free Nation Culture channel, which you guys should go subscribe to on YouTube, and Nerd Legion on podcast platforms, and LFN Culture on Twitter, et cetera, because Doa decided to make more LCS fans. He took Dom's advice from last week super literally.
Congrats.
I respect that.
Papa Doa. Or Daddy Doa.
But we'll be back on. If you guys, by the way, if you guys are listening, go congratulate him on Twitter. That would be very nice of you guys.
Yeah, so I saw the baby and I was like, that's the North American talent. That's what we need. Like, that's what we need. It has a visa. Like, I was really hyped.
It's already legal and able to work.
Yeah,
that's amazing. But yeah,
shit.
so had to take a little break
Doa
from
and
that.
make a team. That's what we need.
You know that Doa is the oldest of 8, right?
Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, those like his family's way too late to start playing League now. It's not gonna happen. Though you got to start over. We don't need 8.
Maybe
he
will. Maybe he will. Maybe he will.
We need 5. We technically need 3. We can import 2, but like we need at least 3. All right, like that's it.
Maybe we can combine with my family and his. We're only one short right now. We're only one short.
Okay, not bad.
We'll have to see if the LCS can last 15 years until my son is able to play.
They got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. If you want to watch the LCS now, you can watch it through Dom. You can watch it, recap it with my interviews as well. Doing 2 this week, doing some TikToks as well. It's been a lot of fun with the players. And then we have Face Check tomorrow. So if you're watching live, you can watch Face Check tomorrow.
I'll do my one shout out. I started a Bilibili account. I'm on Chinese social media.
Are you really?
Yeah, I started a Chinese social media account.
Oh, awesome.
The numbers there make no sense, by the way. Like, I started an account and I just did like a intro video where I'm like, hi, my name is Dom. I used to do this. And like, now I like the fucking LPL. Got like 115,000 views and my channel got like 23,000 subscribers like overnight. Yeah, like it doesn't make sense.
All right, make sure to like the Last Free Nation on Bilibili. Make sure to go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, like it's like it doesn't make any fucking sense. And then, what I didn't know is that I had like obviously I'm a huge OMG fan, so I'm known I guess on Bilibili for being an OMG fan because people were already translating my videos. Yeah. And Aki saw one of the videos where I'm flaming him, and he responded to it on stream. So the jungler for OMG just like was responding to it on stream.
Oh,
he's like, oh, this guy's pretty funny. Like, that's what he said. I don't respect anything he fucking says, but he's pretty funny. So like, that was what I got. You know, we take our wins there.
All right. Well, you guys can catch us all next week with all the content, all the different areas. But make sure to like and subscribe here. Help us continue to grow and get you the content that you want. But for now, we're going to call it. We'll see you next week for more Power Spike. See you guys.